Sairam children. Children, this is the part 3 of chapter number 4 Insight into program execution. Okay. So in chapter number 1 we have discussed about operating system. I hope you are able to recognize this topic, operating system. We have discussed about operating system in chapter number 1. So in that chapter, in very short brief, we have discussed. So today we are going to discuss in detail what is operating system and how actually it works. Okay. So children, let's take one example. See, I have a bulb. Okay, I want to glow that bulb. Okay, so I have two methods. I can glow that bulb with the help of wires directly. Okay, second method is I have to design a structure so that bulb glows when we on the switch. Getting my point? Again, I'm repeating, we are having two methods. We can directly connect two wires for glowing that bulb, or we can create a structure for glowing that bulb with the help of switch. When we are oning that switch, bulb is glowing. When we are offing that switch, bulb is not glowing. So now when we are connecting with the wires that bulb, that method is little bit complicated because for that we need carefulness. Okay, in the same manner, in computer we are having hardware and software. Okay, so we can use hardware directly also, but for that we need to know the complete architecture of hardware. So let's talk about camera here. If you want to use that camera directly, so we need to use the whole architecture of that camera. We need to understand the whole architecture of camera. So instead of knowing the whole architecture of camera, we can use operating system, so that operating system can behave like an intermediator between your hardware and your application. Okay, so operating system is helpful in running application software also. Operating system behave like an intermediator between hardware and application software. I hope you are getting my point. Now children, in a system, operating system, it guides us to control the hardware. It also helps in running of application software. It provides a platform for application software to execute. Okay, now operating system act as a resource manager as well as. So let's understand how operating system act as a resource manager here. Okay, let's understand that. See children, in the old times we are having computer, we are having processors. So in that computers we can do one work at a time. But nowadays in the modern technology, we can do lots of work once. At one time we can do lots of work. Like if you're working in the laptop, at the same time you can upload the video, at the same time you can do typing on your Microsoft Word, at the same time you are able to download something also. So multiple tasks are there. So in the modern times, multiple tasks we can easily do. So here again there is a role of operating system to manage this whole multiple task. Okay, so let's understand how actually operating system play an important role while maintaining a resource manager. Okay, so let's discuss that. Role of an operating system in running program. So one more statement is there, in operating system play a very important role while running a program as well as. So before we move forward, so let's understand first of all how operating system as a resource manager understand. So let's start with this topic. A program when not running is simply lying on the disk. So whenever any program which is not running at a time where it is on the disk, children. To execute it must be loaded into the memory first, and CPU be assigned to it so that its instruction can be run. The moment a program is loaded for running and executing, it is called a process. What is called? Process. Again, I am repeating, children. When your program is not running, it is on the disk. Where it is on disk. So if we want to run any program, children, we have to load that program into the memory first, and after that CPU be assigned to it so that instruction can be run. And the moment when a program is loaded for running or for executing, it can called as a process. Okay, or we can say that job also. We can say that job also. Now, multiple programs are run interlaced with each other so as to improve the overall efficiency of computer. Multiprogramming undoubtedly improves the overall efficiency of the computer by getting more work done in less time, as the CPU may be shared among number of active programs which are present in the memory at the same time. Okay, now children, for managing multiple processes simultaneously, it is important to manage them. How we can manage them? We can manage by different function like process management, process scheduling, memory management, input output management, and user interface. So we are having different function to manage our multitasking process. Okay, now first of all, let's discuss about the process management. When a program needs to be executed, children, it approaches operating system. So when a program we need to execute, we have to approach whom? We have to approach operating system. Now the process scheduler of the operating system loads it into the memory, and it becomes a process which is executed as per its instruction. As soon as the processor of CPU is assigned to it, a process is given some memory also for each of the following section for its proper execution. When a program is ready to execute it, it is loaded in memory. It means it is loaded at the start position. Okay, and it becomes an active process. An active process passes through different states. So again, I am repeating this statement, children. When a program is ready to execute it, it is loaded into the start position. The start position depicts that the initial state of the process. Now what is process? When a program needs to be executed, that program is first loaded into the memory, that is called a process. Okay, so first it goes to the start state. Then next state is ready state. Okay, next state is ready state. When the process is ready after wait. Now your process was waiting for a long to process, so that state is called the ready state. Next is running state. Process being executed by the CPU. In the running state, your process being executed by the CPU. Next state is waiting state. Process waiting for some resource. Now your process wants to execute, but it needs some extra resource also. So in this waiting state, your process is going to wait for that resource. Now last state is terminated. Last state is terminated. Now what is the meaning of terminated? Terminated means exit. Okay, or we can say that your process is over now. Okay, now children, in the in the first phase, the process management, how CPU execute the instruction of a ready process. So first of all, you are having your start state means your initial state of your process. Now after that you are having ready state. Okay, now in this ready state, how your CPU execute the instruction. Let us now see how CPU runs the instruction of a loaded process. Please note that the CPU runs the process instruction by instruction. CPU execute the instruction of a process by fetching it, by decoding it, and then executing it. Let's see how it happens broadly. Okay, so when your process is on the ready state, children, that from that state your process go to three different steps. First is fetching. Now what is the meaning of fetching? Fetching means taking out the data. Okay, so when your program is loaded in the main memory, then there is cu means control unit, brings first instruction of the program. Now what we have to do with that process, cu brings that first instruction. It means what you are doing, you are fetching the instruction, you are checking, you are checking about the first instruction for that program. What we need to do with that process, for the very first instruction is going to be fetched by the cu. Okay, now cu determines what type of instruction is this. CPU determines what type of instruction it is. So how CPU determines which type of instruction it is? By decoding, by decoding the instructions. Okay, so whatever instruction was fetched by cu, so that instruction is going to be decoded by cu to determine what we need to do next. So for that, see, this cu check what kind of instruction it is, whether that process is of mathematical work, whether that process is of logical work, or simply read from memory or input device, or write to memory or output device. Okay, now if the instruction involves mathematical or logical work, if the instruction involves mathematical or logical work, what cu do? Cu includes ALU, arithmetic logical unit, to carry out or execute the instruction. Okay, now execution done if that instruction involves mathematical or logical work, or if the instruction involves read or write from memory, then cu directly instruct the memory or input device or output device to carry out this. Okay, now ALU produce some result which are then stored in the main memory. It means ALU, whatever result we are getting from ALU, that result is going to store at the main memory. Okay, so this is the whole process when your program is on the ready process. Okay, so in that three steps are there: fetching it, decoding it, and then execute it. In fetching the instruction, cu find out the first instruction of that program, and that instruction is checked by decoding the instruction what kind of instruction it is. If it is a mathematical work, it is going to send to ALU. If it is simply read from memory or write from memory, it is sent to the memory or input output device. Okay, then ALU gives the result, then that result is going to store in the main memory. It means your program has been executed. Okay, now next is, let's talk about process scheduling. Now your process management work is completed. Your next phase is process scheduling. As you know that multiple programs can be loaded simultaneously in computer memory for execution. In such a case, it is very important to manage these processes so as to determine which process will get the CPU time, which process has to be removed from CPU, and which process has to be shifted for input output. What is to be in case of interrupt occur? Now children, let's understand what is interrupt. What is interrupt actually? Please note that interrupt is a signal generated by hardware or software to the CPU indicating high priority event that needs immediate attention. See, let's understand with this example. See children, a computer is doing some work. Suddenly a very interrupt occur in that important task is there, like your memory is going to be crash. So what you will do, you will continue with your work or you will handle that situation first. So in such kind of interrupt, CPU has to be deal with that interrupt or handle the interrupt first of all with the highest priority. Okay, so all this is the job of process scheduler of operating system. The process scheduling is the activity of the process manager that handles the removal of removing process from the CPU and the selection of another process on the basis of particular strategy. So sometime if a interrupt, if a kind of emergency is there, so this process scheduling decide which work that process scheduler do first. Okay children, see, since all the loaded processes have to be shared by CPU, so if many processes are there, all has to be loaded by the CPU only, but the process scheduler decide upon the strategy which help it determine which process will get the CPU time first. Okay, now we are having some common scheduling strategies. We are having some common scheduling strategies. Okay, now very first strategy is FCFS, means first come first serve. So the process entiring first in the queue gets the CPU first. So with this scheduling strategy, whatever process come first, that process is going to be entertained first. Okay, next is round robin scheduling. Round robin scheduling, every process is given some fixed amount of time on CPU called time slice, say milliseconds. If the process is over during that time, the process is terminated, otherwise its state is changed to waiting the next ready process in given CPU time for designated amount of time. So in round robin scheduling, like, understand this with example children. See, if we are working on case 1 and I have decided to complete this case 1 is 2 seconds, and in the waiting state I am having case 2. Okay, case 2 is waiting for its chance. So if within 2 seconds this case 1 is not executed, so this case 1 goes to the waiting state and case 2 get its turn. So this is the concept of round robin. So in a particular time period, if that case is not solved, so that case is going for waiting state and the next state gets its turn. Okay, now next is shortest job first. Next type of scheduling technique we are having shortest job next. Okay, so in this type of work, CPU picks the next job that will take shortest time out of all the ready processes and many more. See children, like if we are having queue of cases, case 1, case 2, case 3. Case 1 is going to solve in 2 seconds, case 2 is going to solve in 10 seconds, and case 3 is going to solve in 1 second. So according to this strategy, case 3 is going to take first because in that less time we have to use. So this is called shortest job next. We are not going into details of scheduling algorithm because there are many more efficient scheduling strategies followed by operating system. The idea is just to tell how operating system follows some strategy to determine which process will get the CPU. In short, you can say that the loaded processes share the CPU using some time multiplexing mechanism. Okay, now your process management and process scheduling finish. Let's talk about the memory management. See children, memory management is a part of operating system, is another very important in processing a process. Okay, memory management, it monitors and control the primary memory. It tracks all the memory whatever allocated or free. So we are having lots of memory in our system. So how much is free and how much is already allocated, this record is done by the memory management. It allocates memory if process required, and it deallocates memory when the process is terminated. Updation in the memory is all work is done by memory management only. Okay, so say children, the memory manager allocates memory to process to load their data and files etc. using different strategies. So we are having two types of memory management. First is contiguous. First is contiguous and second is non-contiguous. Now contiguous means in running and non-contiguous means mixed. So in continuous allocation we deal with multi-programming with fixed length and in and with fixed variable as well as, but in non-contiguous we deal with single memory allocation, partition allocation, page memory management and segmented memory management. So before we go, we go to discuss with page and segmented memory management, we need to understand the virtual memory management. So another important task of operating system is virtual memory management. Virtual memory is used when RAM is full and still the operating system require more memory to execute program. Virtual memory is also used using paging and segmentation technique discussed in earlier points. Since virtual memory is an important concept, followed subsection to taking about it in some more detail. Children, what is actually a virtual memory? See, like this is your CPU. So we are having 64 KB of memory, and this memory we have used, we need some extra memory, so we are giving virtual memory of 64 kilobyte. So this virtual memory is a illusion for a programmer. It's a illusion for a programmer, so that programmer is just thinking that he is having more memory, so to provide easy to the user. So when some user is thinking that he is having much memory, so he can do better work. So for the CPU maximum utilization, we create such kind of illusion. Operating system is giving illusion to user because user can write a very big program. User thinks that entire program is present in RAM only, but this is an illusion only because only the smallest part of that program is stored in the RAM. The next part, the rest of the part of the program is going to store in the secondary device or in the hard disk. Okay, now let's understand what is page memory allocation and segmented memory management. So both topics are come under the category of virtual memory management. In page memory management, in this technique of memory management, primary memory is divided in fixed site unit called page frame or simply pages. A running application is allocated some number of pages for its working depending upon its processing requirements. Segmented memory allocation, in this memory management technique, memory is divided into logical unit called segments, and segment may not be contiguous in physical memory, but logically different chunks of memory may belong to one segment. A running application is allocated some segment depending upon its processing requirement. Now, next type of management is input output management. Whenever a process requires some input output, the the input output management part of operating system take over. The role of input output manager of operating system is to connect the process to actual input output devices through some strategy. There are multiple strategy followed by input output manager which are not covering here as it beyond the scope of this book. The input output manager send the input output request to the physical device, and upon receiving a response from the device, it passes the received response to the process. During the time a process with input output manager, the CPU keeps on working with other ready processes. Now our last function is about user interface. What is user interface actually? See children, an operating system provides an environment for user to interact with the machine through a user interface. So we are having two types of user interface. First is GUI and second is CUI. CUI is CLI. So C stand for command line interface and GUI is graphical user interface. Let me give you one example. Graphical user interface is a kind of interface like if you want to create a folder. So what you usually do, you just right click and choose the new folder and make a folder. So this is called a graphical user interface. By clicking a button you are able to make a folder. But in command line prompt you have to write on your PC cmd, and on that you have to write few statements. After that you are able to make a folder. So in command line interface you are writing instruction that is non-graphical, and in graphical interface you are just clicking button and your work has been done. Okay, so with this I am ending this video children. We will meet with the very new topic of the same chapter, that is cloud computing and blockchain technology. So till then take care of yourself. Thank you so much for attending this class. Sai Ram.